giving this a try and seeing how it works out. Don't even know if the sound's going to work on it, but why not try things? And so, jumping right into that, um, I'm messed up in the head right now. I don't know. Probably other people are. It's a bit wild living in the States at the moment. And um, I don't know. Living in a country where the president just declared war on its own people. And I realize we're not the only people who've gone through that. It's just been a really long, several centuries time since we've had to deal with that. And since I don't deal with these things well, I'm dealing with it in the way that pretty much everybody with a background in literature probably does, or just people trying to survive things. I delve into art, and specifically in these kind of moments, especially with all the people complaining about reactions to everything that's happening, reactions to being murdered in their own homes, in their own neighborhoods, uh, being essentially put to death for really minor crimes or just for things that are perfectly legal to do. Um, not counting the beatings and various types of horror that people have had to go through with this. So, big surprise, people are acting out, people are annoyed, people are doing things because that's what happens when you do that. And for some reason, people always act like it's a surprise, like it's a new thing, and they want to trot out all of these standard old give peace a chance things. That's not me. And also, well, I pay enough attention to history and to the history of the art that I love to know that that has not been the case for as far back as we have bothered writing things down. So I figured I'd share a couple of poems that are helping me through at the moment and helping remind me where we all sit with this. The first one is going to be from Phyllis Wheatley. If you don't know, Phyllis Wheatley is a woman, or was a woman, that had begun her life as a slave and was freed because she wrote really good poetry. This is clearly during the early times of the American institution of slavery, where they would bother freeing people for anything at all. A dark sense of irony to these. So this is going to be the Right Honorable William, Earl of Dartmouth. And it sounds nice enough on the surface. Sounds awfully polite until you look into it a little bit more. Hail, happy day when smiling like the morn, fair freedom rose New England to adorn. The northern clime beneath her genial ray, Dartmouth congratulates thy blissful sway. Elate with hopes of a race no longer mourns, each soul expands, each grateful bosom burns, the silken reins. Oh, sorry, skip the line. You're not supposed to do this when you do readings, but I'm going to start back at the beginning because I'm near enough to there. Nobody else follow my example ever. Hail, happy day, when smiling like the morn, fair freedom rose New England to adorn. The northern clime beneath her genial ray, Dartmouth congratulates thy blissful sway. Elate with hope her race no longer mourns, each soul expands, each grateful bosom burns. While in thine hand with pleasure we behold the silken reins and freedom's charms unfold. Long lost to realms beneath the northern skies, she shines supreme while hated faction dies. Soon as appeared the goddess long desired, sick at the view she languished and expired. Thus from splendors of the morning light, the owl in sadness seeks the caves of night. No more, America, in mournful strain, of wrongs and grievance undressed complain. No longer shalt thou dread the iron chain which wanton tyranny with lawless hand had made. and with it meant to enslave the land. Should you, my lord, while you praise my song, wonder from whence my love of freedom sprung, whence flow these wishes for the common good, by feeling hearts alone best understood, I, young in life, by seeming cruel fate, was snatched from Africa's fancied happy seat. What pangs excruciating must molest, what sorrows labor in my parents' breast. Steeled was what the soul, and by no misery moved, that from a father seized his babe beloved. Such, such my case. And and can I then but pray others may never feel tyranny's sway? For favors past, great sir, our thanks are due. And thee we ask thy favors to renew, since in thy power, as thy will before, to soothe the griefs which thou didst once deplore, may heavenly grace the sacred sanction give to all thy works, and now forever live, not only on the wings of fleeting fame, through praise immortal crowns the patriot's name, but to conduct the heavens' refulgent fane. May fiery coursers sweep the ethereal plain, and bear thee upwards to that blessed abode, where, like the prophet, thou shalt meet thy God. Again, now, and I really like, because it sounds so friendly and sounds like such a nice wish. I want you to go into heaven and all of that. With that undercurrent of also die. So moving from her up to closer to modern times, of course, we have to hit on the Harlem Renaissance, because, when you're dealing with people that are angry and the destruction that's caused by it, the Harlem Renaissance, like everybody involved in that did really good. But also, we all like going back to Langston Hughes, and Harlem speaks especially to now. So this is Harlem by Langston Hughes. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun? Or fester like a sore and then run? Does it stink like rotten meat? Or crust and sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? There's a reason that one's classic. Hughes is just... And finally, the last one. This is Pablo Neruda, not one that most people think of in relation to revolutionary poetry or poetry that speaks to rebellion, but that's because people kind of forget the later periods. Interesting side story with this. This is a poem that he wrote during the Spanish Civil War. He was in Spain at the time when that started occurring. He had friends that lived there. Spain was a place that he quite clearly liked. And, well, then Franco happened. So, I'm explaining a few things. You're going to ask, where are the lilacs and the poppy-petaled metaphysics, and the rain repeatedly spattering its words and drilling them full of apertures and birds? Well, I'll tell you all the news. I lived in a suburb of Madrid, with bells and clocks and streets. From there, you could look out over Castile's dry face, a leather ocean. My house was called the House of Flowers because in every cranny, geraniums burst. It was a good-looking house with its dogs and children. Remember, Raul? Raphael? Frederica, do you remember from under the ground where the light of June drowned flowers in your mouth? Brother, my brother, everything loud with big voices, the salt of merchandises, pileups of palpitating bread, the stains of my suburb of Argilas with its statue, like the drained inkwell in a swirl of hockey. Oil flowed into spoons. A deep bang of feet and hands swelled in the street. Meters, liters, the sharp measure of life. Stacked up fish, the texture of roofs with the cold sun in which the weather vane falters. The fine, frenzy ivory of potatoes, wave on a wave of tomatoes rolling out to the sea. And one morning, it was all burning. One morning, the bonfires leapt out of the earth, devouring human beings. And from then on, fire, gunpowder from then on. And from then on, blood. Bandits with planes and moors, bandits with finger rings and duchesses, bandits with black friars spattering blessings came through the sky to kill children. And the blood of children ran through the streets without fuss, like children's blood. Jackals that the jackals would despise, stones that the dry thistle would bite on and spit out, vipers that the vipers would abominate. Face to face with you, I've seen the blood of Spain tower like a tide to drown you in one wave of pride and knives. Treacherous generals, see my dead house. Look at broken Spain. From inside every house, burning metal flows instead of flowers. From every socket of Spain, Spain emerges. And from every dead child's eyes, a rifle with eyes. And from every crime, bullets are born, which will one day find the bullseye of your hearts. And you'll ask why. Why doesn't his poetry speak of dreams and leaves and the great volcanoes of his native land? Come see the blood in the streets. Come see the blood in the streets. Come and see the blood in the streets. And that was, I'm explaining a few things from Pablo Neruda. Hopefully you enjoyed this. I feel slightly better screaming into a microphone other people's words. So have a good evening. If you're in any of these cities that are undergoing the explosions and unrest and terror, my heart's with you. If you are one of the people that's locked up right now because you had the nerve to go outside and try to say that not so good of an idea for the people that are supposed to be protecting us to be killing us, my heart is with you. We've gotten through things like this before. We're not the only people that have been through things like this. It doesn't mean it's an easy road. Do what you have to do and take care.